Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Hightown. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, obviously, we're literally picking up where last week's episode ended up. Obviously, we start off with that flashback between Jackie and Junior, and obviously them kind of getting high because he had just missed his daughter's daughter being born and everything, and obviously he's flipping out, about it because it's just like she told me not to be, Donna told me not to be there if I was high, but how kind of fucked up is that? That's my kid and everything, and obviously Jackie being high with him is just kind of like, yeah, man, and it's just a thing of like, you don't got to worry about it. It's like kids are young, and like, the fact of the matter is you have time. You basically have time to kind of fix things and not be a screw up, and it's just, and that, obviously like those statements are just the sad, tragic irony behind those statements. But it's just like, oh yeah, kids are a blessing, and he's just like, I'm gonna be a better father, and everything. It's like, yeah, hashtag blessed, and then just hard cutting to Jackie standing over its body, and it's like, and I think it's this powerful moment too where Jackie's just kind of like, she even talks about the fact that she wanted to be a part of this and everything, but she doesn't even remember why she started in the first place, And because like so much spiraled from this, like you wanted to help with the whole Sherry thing, and just that combined with your lifestyle, it's like it led to this moment, and it's sad in the grand scheme of things because obviously like losing Junior, like she hits hard losing Junior, and we see her kind of like slipping back into her old habits a little bit. She's not partying as hard, but she is drinking again, random hookups and everything. And, obviously at the meeting and stuff like that, she's, back to day one again, And the dude is kind of like, well, we have a saying here, better him than you. And even Jackie's like, that's fucked up. Even I'm like, that's super fucked up to say. Like, is that the general? But for him, it's like, no matter what you do, it's not drinking yourself to death isn't going to bring Junior back. And she's like, well, won't know till I try, right? And it's just like, because for Jackie, especially later on, because Ed ends up taking her to Junior's funeral, she didn't really want to, well, she goes, but then, like, he's the one that wants her in front of a lot of people, like Donna in particular, to apologize. And she's like, I don't want to go, I don't want to do that, but, she has to. I mean, and also, like, on top of all that, like, Junior's dad saying what he said, like, it's like, how foolish it can be to hope, but it's like when it comes to your kid, that's all you can do. You can hope, it's kind of like, yeah, my son, he had his issues, he was stressed and everything, but it's just like, you hope that everything works out, and it's just like, him breaking down in front like that. But, and it's so sad because Donna kind of blows up at Jackie being like, you said you're going to find him, you failed, you messed up. Like, it's so sad because the thing is, Jackie tried her hardest, but I mean, and I think for her that makes her feel even more guilty because it's like when I try, I fuck things up. It's like because she even told Ray that night, she was like, yeah, I lied when I first told you, like I'd seen a body before, I hadn't, and she's like, now all I see is death around me. It's like first Sherry, then Krista, now Junior. It's just like death has just been bam, 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 bam around her so much, and it's just kind of like, it takes its toll, and because she's like, I'm sorry, what, Donna, I'm leaving, and it is kind of messed up because like I said, she was trying her best, but the argument could be made because she got involved, because she tried. I mean, that's just like how the dominoes fell. It's just because both of them were on a collision course on their own right, because it's just like Junior had his own demons, because regardless of Jackie, Junior was still mixed up in what he was mixed up in, and it wasn't Jackie's fault what led to that. It's just Junior had his own demons, and everything he got mixed up in, the guilt of what happened. Like, Donna will probably never, I mean, it probably won't come out till later on what Junior was involved in. Maybe not, who knows, but obviously the whole thing is pissing Ray off because it's like their one witness left is dead. So it's like there's bodies everywhere, and it's like we're no closer to taking down Frankie, which that whole thing with Frankie and Renee. Like, obviously she's like, I'm tired of all this, but he's like, don't worry, baby, I'm gonna give you everything. You don't have to fuck Xavier's, I'll buy the place if you want. It's just like, I just need to know you're by my side. And he proposes to her, and she's in the car, you can tell she's crying because it's like, is so much. It's like she wants nothing to do with this life. She wants to get as far away from Frankie as she can, but it's kind of like I will have no choice because no matter where I go, I will always be bound to Frankie because we have a kid together, and it's just like she's like no matter what I do, it's just like it's never enough to get away from him. So it's just she's kind of stuck in this cycle, and obviously there's the whole situation with her and Ray because obviously they end up tying all. Well, they end up. I forgot what was. Oh, like Ray took down Cap because like we see him go over to somebody's car. Like whose car is that? And then we find out it's Kathleen's. He planted some drugs on her to kind of bring her in. And I love that she said like she says the N word, and I love it. And like Alan's like, did she just say the N word? She's like, I said "guh," not "er." I was like, oh, the worst thing is when you say it and then you have to explain yourself, being like, I said "guh," not "er." It's like, oh, that was like, it hit me. I was like, I was like, even when she said it, I was like, did she just fucking say that? It's like, I guess being around Osito, she's just like, nah, I'm cool. I can say it. It's like, gee. But then she like crumbles once they start going in at her. Like, we don't want to like, take you down and everything. But the fact of the matter is, let us know what Osito is. It's like, he went back to, he's out of the country, so she's like, I have no idea, but kind of throws them in the direction of Wayne, and obviously Jackie gets involved in that, and so they end up taking down Wayne, but the fact of the matter is there's no drugs, there's just weapons and stuff, so they're arresting Wayne, but what was interesting, because obviously for Jackie, it's like, wait, so we have no ties to like, the drugs or anything, and it's just like, this is all kind of shit, and Ray's like, well, yeah, that's kind of life. Life is kind of shit a lot of times. And I thought it was so interesting that she's posted up outside, and lo and behold, who's rolling up Osito? I was like, what the hell is that? I was like, does he not know? Because it's just like, the way he's just casually rolling up, but to be fair, I guess like the cops are on the other end, so it's like, he wouldn't know that they're there. But Jackie's like, put up your hands and stuff like that. Osito starts blasting. She blasts. She gets shot. Ray goes after Osito, laying in some fire. But lucky for Jackie, and I thought that was kind of interesting for Ray. He was like, honestly, you getting shot's kind of the best thing that happened to us because now we got him, attempt murder of a federal agent. So no matter, despite everything else, we got him for this. And obviously, Jackie's kind of, enjoying the kind of pain medication and stuff like that. And it's just, she's like, yeah, but if I did die, you would have felt like a real piece of shit. And Ray's like, yeah, I would have. And she's like, me too. And even Ed coming in there being like the fatherly figure that he is, just being like, when I heard that you got shot, I was like, she's like, are you about to cry on me? It's like, it was really sweet to see how much he cares about her, that he plays that fatherly role for her and towards her and everything. So there's that. Now, to me, I was curious like how this whole thing was going to shape up, especially like when Ray went to go visit Frankie. I was like, oh, dude, how's this going to play out? Because like Frankie seemed like he was too damn calm, but it's like, yo, and I like Ray being like, yeah, but he's like, how are you? And then Frankie doesn't say. He said, oh, cool. Me, I'm good. I don't know what I'm talking about. I ain't coming here to talk about me. I'm coming to talk about you, man. You're the man, right? I mean, you're the man, Frankie. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, no one can basically, like, hyping him up about, like, it's like, oh, man, you've been doing this thing since I was a junior in all of this. Like, the fact of the matter is 2001, 2002, you remember that? He's like, the fact of the matter is kids back then were doing, pills, but then you brought heroin to the Cape. And it's like, oh, man, you're still the man. If you hadn't killed Sherry, you could have gone on about your business. You could have probably, been locked up for a little bit, but then eventually you would have got out and you could have picked your business right up. But you fucked up when you killed Sherry, so I'm gonna fuck you. Osito, we got him, so I'm gonna fuck him to get to you. And it's just, but then, like, Frankie seemed like he was too calm and everything, and he's like, spring rain, right? And Ray was like, what the fuck you just say? And I was like, oh, Renee. And then, like, Ray's calling her up, be like, yo, hey? And she's like, yeah, got some stuff. I was like, oh. Because, like, it made me, because I was confused, too, because, like, Renee, like, had done, like, her and Ray, and I was like, what? I thought you were pissed at him last episode, so I was like, what is that all about? It seemed like you were okay with him. I was like, I guess maybe, because he was like, I'm gonna not stop going after Frankie. She's like, I understand, but he's the father of my child, but you do what you gotta do. And I was so curious about that. And for Ray to show up at work, be like, oh, Alan's like, yeah, they're in the office or something, the conference room, whatever. Rolls up in there, the DA's there, his boss is there, and so is the other cop, and it's like, wait, what the fuck is this all about? Oh, you're basically getting in trouble because like, oh, you basically in return for sexual favors, Renee says that she was kind of your informant. Ray's like, no, he's like, that's bullshit, which technically it is, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, oh, this doesn't look good. And it's like, Renee called him up and she was like, yeah, like, she kind of was forced to that situation. I was like, dude, I was like, that sucks. Ray put himself in this position, because even if he was like, Alan, like, you knew, he's like, yeah, no, we all knew, which, he's like, did not say it's the thing of what it comes down to is, you did this to yourself. In a sense, we all knew, we just didn't say jack shit about it, because it's like, do whatever you want to, as long as it's not interfering with the case. This time it's directly interfering with the case, because now all the charges are being dropped against Frankie, and now like obviously the whole investigation into him, because it's like, because even the other cop, she's like, oh, like, did you do the same thing with Sherry? And it's like, it is an abuse of power. It's disgusting, but it's just at the same situation. It's like, because like the complicated thing is, it's not like Renee wasn't also doing the same thing. Now, once again, we can't talk about the Sherry situation because we don't know. I mean, we get hints to that, but once again, it's shown that like, once again, that's the effed up thing. It's like everyone knew, they just didn't say shit because it's like, who cares? Only when it kind of interferes with other stuff did people finally call Ray out on everything. And it you kind of, once again, it's that situation where it's like someone does something bad and you're like, but it's because you follow this character, you kind of feel bad for him. But at the same time, you recognize how effed up it is. But at the same time, you recognize it is BS being created just for the purpose of screwing Ray over. Because I think rather than killing him, the best thing, well, truth be told, is the best thing by like doing this, you destroy his reputation, destroy his cases, because he even said it himself. It's like, if it wasn't for me, you would have never gotten Frankie in the first place. It's like he's got murders associated with it. It's like, I don't see any evidence of that. And it's just like, oh. And so it is that effed up situation of he goes to see Renee and he's like, what the hell? And she's like, what? Like, this is transactional like it all was. He's like, I fucking loved you. And he walks away and you can tell it hurts Renee. Like, because Ray even said it in the conference. He was like, she's not even my CI anymore. So I'm assuming the paper she found was like from much earlier. That was a pants pop. One time he was with her prior to everything becoming serious. Like, I guess it stayed in his pocket. So that must have been from earlier. Or, because I thought he was just using it as an excuse. Because I can't remember what was on. I think it was, the night he went out with her and Frankie Jr., maybe. But it's like, she was probably still thinking like perpetually like, oh, he's still using me as a CI. But it was like, that might have been one of the last times. Like, ever since it became serious for you, it had become serious for him. So he even said to himself, he's like, she's not even my CI anymore. But obviously that doesn't matter. It's still a bad look because you're also banging his girlfriend. So you could also make it seem like, oh, you could make the argument could be made that you made all this up just to get him out of the way so you can be with his girl type of thing. Plus, it's also, once again, heavily the most important thing is the abuse of power type of situation. So it's like, but I think it does make Renee kind of feel conflicted because it's like she did what she had to, because it's like she knew that at the end of the day Frankie was going to come out on top in this situation. She had to pick a side. She picked a side because it's like, no matter what, this is the father of her child, despite how she might feel about it. But it's just like, I think in that moment she realizes like, oh, maybe things weren't as transactional as I thought they were, and I kind of burned Ray for no reason. I don't know, but it's like she made her choices and she has to kind of live with it. You can tell Jackie's starting to take over, trying to turn over a new leaf, because she was even telling Ed, like, hey, take these pills. I don't need these around. He's like, yo, who the hell are you and what are you doing with my partner? And he's like, Linda would love for you to come over for dinner. She's like, yeah, sure. So things are kind of changing for Jackie. And then there's a whole situation of like, she hears from her lawyer, like the DA's dropping charges because Alan kind of cuts him. I was like, oh. And she's like, because at first she was like, was it Ray? But it's like, no, it was Alan. But part of me is like, oh, could Ray have just signed Alan's name? But Alan was like, no, I did it. And so it's like, she's asking me, oh, what about Ray? It's like, well, Frankie's getting released. And it's like, yeah, we can keep the investigation going. She's like, I want to be a part of it. Because let's not forget, like, I'm sure like she's on Frankie's shit list too, because she went up to Frankie and was like, oh, I'm gonna take you down for all the terrible stuff you've done. Because it's because of Frankie that, once again, Sherry's dead, Krista's dead, and even Junior kind of getting mixed up in all of this because of Frankie and everything. So there's that. So, but she's like, it's like, oh, kind of like a liaison situation, and he's like, oh, we'll see kind of how it all works out. And, it's like, yeah, poor Ray. And then Alan was like, fuck Ray. And it's like, because Ray's such an asshole, and also the asshole, it's like, if you're an asshole, sure, but be an asshole that gives results. You're an asshole that screwed up this entire case and everything. So it kind of sucks. I mean, once again, was Ray a great person? No, he's kind of a piece of shit, but it's like a piece of shit that we followed. So you kind of got things from his lens, but you also got kind of that outer view lens of everything. So Jackie went over to kind of check up on him and admits, like, what happened with him and Renee. He's like, holy shit. And she's like, the hot stripper? I didn't know you had it in you. He's like, they have a, whole thing about, like, they have a whole group about, not being able to keep it in your pants. We could both go together, But for Ray, he's like, nah, like, I'll bounce back. I've seen cops come back from worse stuff than this. And she's like, yeah, but if you ever need anything, they're kind of trying to be there for each other, because because for her, it's like, despite everything, Ray kind of gave her a shot when he didn't need to, and he kept her as part of the loop in all of this. So, and then we see at the end, like, it looks like he's, looking like, I guess, like, a doorman at like a club or whatever, because it looks like he's like, like checking IDs and stuff like that. So I don't know if he's going to be like security as well, but it just seems like he's just kind of a doorman for now, but we'll kind of have to see. And then there's a whole situation with like I said, Jackie going to meetings and stuff like that. Then we also see, like, obviously she hasn't given up on this Frankie thing. She's going to handle it be doing her own investigating, because I think for her, she's become just as obsessed with this as Ray has. And so it is a thing of, like, she's watching, Renee and Frankie as Frankie's getting out. So that's an element to this. Then there's a whole situation with Wayne, his ain't it like his nieces, I think. I don't think that's his daughter. I think those are his nieces, right? Like Charmaine and everything. Like, they are leaving New Beige behind to come to Cape Town. Okay, not Cape Town, Cape Cod, to do their thing. I think it's because it's like, we're going to run things. I mean, because like they're picking up the operation where their uncle left off. But at the same time, too, I think there's going to be the whole situation of Osito, because Alan's talking to Osito and Osito's wanting to talk. I'm curious how he feels about the whole Junior thing. Because I'd even seen somewhere some people, I think, were wondering if he had killed Junior or not. And like I said, I still believe like that was just kind of like Junior getting high one last time just because it became too much. And once again, just because that's the tragedy of it, just kind of like he had a second chance, and it's just like, that's just sadly not where the cards, laid in the grand scheme of things. But so this whole situation presents a lot of interesting things, because also the question is like, well, what about Kizzle? That whole thing. It's like, that whole situation still ain't been discovered yet. Is Osito going to bring that up? Probably not. To be fair, once again, Osito was turning his back on Frankie anyway. But to be fair, like, all that's kind of going away, because it's like, well, Wayne got arrested, but then it's like, well, Charmaine and her sister are still out there doing their thing. So I guess they're going to act as kind of like, try and run things, but it's like, you're a kid, like, what do you know about running things? So I'm curious to see kind of how that ends up going. But I do like that isn't a thing of like, oh, everything is resolved. In fact, everything's more fucked up than it's ever been. It's almost just kind of like, and I think it's an interesting messaging for the show, kind of like, the sad effed up thing is, was it worth it in the end? Because it's like, you're probably worse off than you began, because it's like, you got like technically four murders if you count Scott too. So it's just like, all that, technically it's three, and then you like count in the fourth as kind of like the whole Junior thing, because Junior was, a casualty of this whole situation, so it's like, now his daughter's gonna have to grow up without him in her life and everything. So it's like, all of that, that, nothing worked out. Like, everything, like I said, probably worse off than before. Hightown is getting renewed for a second season, and I'm so curious. I mean, obviously we're going to be picking up where all of this left off, but I'm curious, like, what the time frame is going to be like. It's a whole thing of Jackie being kind of that liaison between, both departments. Like, is that going to be a thing? Plus, like I said, her working this case by herself, probably working it with Ray on the side, just because maybe she feels like she owes Ray. I mean, because also like because she even made that joke. It's like, oh yeah, let's go kill Frankie. And he's like, yeah, let's do that. He's like, but we'd have to use your gun. She's like, right. And part of me was like, that didn't seem like that was a joke. That seemed pretty serious, because she wants Frankie dead too. She wants him taken care of, because it's like, once again, it's like all this chaos has come about because of you and everything. So I'd be so curious to see what the full scale of the story is going to be next season, especially with, you know, all these storylines being where they are right now. What's Ray's situation going to look like next season? Like, is there any way of getting his job back? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he does handle this whole Frankie thing solo. Like I said, maybe he goes to Jackie for help. I mean, obviously Jackie's going to have to be working on her sobriety. I mean, what does this look like for her and Donna? Like, is Donna ever going to forgive her? Because she even said it at the time. It's like, everyone in there hates me because it says like, because I'm sure, because for a lot of people, it's like Jackie's addictions and stuff like that led to everything happening between her and it just kind of kept Junior in that circle of things. I am also curious what this means for Jackie and her ex. Is there going to be anything on? I mean, she got her second chance this season and she kind of screwed it up, but a third chance, you know, we'll see. I mean, to be fair, it's probably a lot of chances in between that first and second as well, but still, so like I said, just a lot of interesting things. I'm curious to see where they end up taking it in going into season 2. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good